in the world is happening with King County real estate? Watch this. This is pretty cool. All right, if you've been paying attention, you've been following the vlog, you've been watching housing over the last few months, you know that this is exactly what we said would be happening. Hooray for accurate forecasts. There are more sellers and less buyers than there have been any time in the last 5 years. We'll look at overall. This is the last 2 years. We'll look at the 5 years in a second. But if you just notice, we're all the way up here with buyers in May. We didn't reach 3,700. What is it, 37? Is that what is it? 3,600 buyers last year. Oh, just over that. That was in the peak of last year, was in June. We're going to get over the peak of last year for sure. We're already at the peak of last year in terms of sellers, right? Buyers, and look at the gap. Look at the delta between the sellers and the buyers. Look how many more. There were 856 more homes listed than sold last month. There has, I don't see another gap of 856. Oh, maybe right here. Maybe 2 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic, 1981, 28. Yeah, so just about here. So it's been a long time. If you look back over the last 5 years, you can see something cool, something. Let's look at the last 5. Here's the last 5 years. You can see 36. So we got the 4,000 in June of 2018. We went over 4,000 in June of 2019. And then in May of 2019, this really big year, you were at 4,200. So you were above that here. So we're not quite at 2019 levels, right? But we are pretty close to 2018 levels. So, and we're over 2021 levels, meaning we are getting into what would be considered more normal seasonality, maybe even 2017, right? I bet we beat 2017. Yeah, we beat 2017. We're between those two. And I can tell you that sellers are beginning to panic. Let's get to market. They're flooding them, not flood. Okay, so here's the thing. They're flooding the market. Relative to the past 2 years, they're flooding the market. But it also doesn't mean they're flooding the market. I mean, if you look, here's another interesting graph. This is the months of available inventory, okay? In other words, if no new listings came to market, how many months would it last? You can see there's a little uptick in available inventory months. So you went from 3/4 of a month to just over 3/4 of a month, maybe 2/3 of a month. That's not a lot of inventory. You're still, a balanced market is 3 months. So while there are more sellers than there have been, you're still not talking about a buyer's market. You're talking about a less crazy seller's market. Okay. So what does that mean? That means if you're selling, right, you can get the price you want or close to it. You're not going to get the price you could have gotten in March, but you're going to get a good price. You just have to price it realistically and know there's more variable than there was before, and know that it may last. The listing may be on the market for 2 weeks. Okay. They're just not flying off the market in 2 days anymore. Some are, but most are not. All right. It's important to know that. Now, every neighborhood is different. Every area is different. Some neighborhoods flying off the market like that. Some neighborhoods, not so much. You got to really work with a reputable realtor who sells houses all over the city, not just in your area, because if they sell just in your area, they don't know what's happening in the other parts as well. So you want to get someone who sells all over the area and is familiar with the various ways things move. If you have questions about your particular situation, that's what I live for. Call me, email me, text me, send me a message, whatever. Get a hold of me, subscribe, like, share, do all those fun things. Have a great day. Let me know what you want to know about housing, and I will tell you anything you want to know. Talk to you soon. Bye. What in the world is happening with Pierce County real estate? Whoa, here we go. Like we said, this is exactly on track for what we said would happen. If you're watching the vlog, or you're following me, you know this is what we've been predicting all along. Huzzah for accurate predictions. But there are, the green here are new listings. There are more new listings in May of this year than any of the last 2 years. This is, we're coming out of the pandemic housing situation. And the delta between new listings and pending is greater than almost any month of the last 2 years. In other words, it is easier to buy a home in Pierce County than it has been any time in the last 2 years. It is trickier to sell one than any time in the last 2 years. But let's look at the 5 year, shall we? Look at this. All right, so we are here in May at about 1,800 houses. Yep, almost 1,900 houses in May. We didn't hit 1,900 houses all of last year or the year before. Now, in May of 2019, before the pandemic, we were at 2,100. So about 200 more homes in May of 2019. And 2019 was a really high year for homes. In May of 2018, 2,100 homes, same. And in May of 2017, 2,000. So we're about 2017 levels. What does that mean? It means it's likely that we're going to see this kind of a situation where over the summer, there's going to be more homes than buyers. That's way different than the last 2 years. Does that mean it is a a buyer's market? No, it does not mean it's a buyer's market. It means it's less of a crazy seller's market. What does that mean? That means if you have a home, if you're looking to buy a home, you should be able to do so. It won't be as crazy. You should be able to find something you want if you move quickly. It means you don't need to move within 2 days of it coming to market and there's going to be 17 offers. No, things are going to move. They're going to go from 6 days average on market to 2 weeks or 3 weeks on market. You're not talking about massive price drops and unless the people selling the homes price it like this was March. If you're selling your home, this is not March. This is not February of 2022. This is not 15 offers. Price it wherever you want. Put a shoebox on the side of the road. It's not like that in most areas. Now you got to price it carefully and you got to expect maybe it'll be in the market for 7 days, 14 days, 21 days. And you can't you can freak out, but don't, because that's a normal seller's market. That's what we're moving into, okay? And every neighborhood is different. Every area is a little bit different. So let me know about your particular situation. I'd love to help and we can suss it out together. All right, if you have questions or comments or things you want to know about, that's what I'm here for. Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company at EXP. Like this, share it, comment, all that great stuff, subscribe, and I'll see you later. What in the world's happening with Kitsap real estate? Well, check it out. Here we go. You can see we have, this is supply and demand. Green is the supply, blue is demand. This is pretty typical of our region and the country as far as I can tell. But there are more houses in May of this year, 553, than there were any of the last 2 years, the pandemic years. Here's May, 495. So more homes available. And while buyers are up from that time, the delta between the two is higher now. Okay, so we are seeing a shift in the market, getting easier to buy. And if you go out to a larger picture for 5 years, check this out. You can see this is the 5 year. You notice how pre-pandemic, it was pretty regular to have extended months where there was more available inventory. What we've been saying is that this is shaping up to be a non-pandemic, seasonal, typical year. In other words, towards June, July, and August, you are going to see way more houses available than you have in the last 2 years. This is going to look like 17, 18, and 19. Some areas be more like 17, some areas more like 19, but in general, as an overall rule, it'll be an easier time to buy houses than any time in the last 2 years. Does that mean it's a buyer's market? No, it does not. Does that mean the market is collapsing? No, it does not. It means it's easier. It means there's not 17 offers on the same house. That means you can't price your house however you want it if you're selling. Excuse me. It means if you're buying, you'll have one or two to choose from. You'll be able to haggle. You'll be able to get something done. So you got to take a look and see if you're listing, you got to be careful with your price. You can't just price it however you want. And if you look at Bainbridge, let's look at Bainbridge as a particular area as it's distinct on the Kitsap Peninsula. You can see we're not even close to 2019, right? So it's not the same everywhere. So this available houses was 49 in May, and pre-pandemic 72. So point is, it's not the same everywhere. Bainbridge is still hot, hard to buy. Hard to buy, hard to buy, hard to buy. If you go back to, if you just look at the last 2 years on Bainbridge, just Bainbridge, you can see while there are more buyers than last month, it's not the same as here, right? Not quite the same as here. Now what's we're likely to see here is an increase in inventory to match 2020, at least in these kinds of levels, right? 2021 was particularly tight. I would think you're going to see a loosening of that. Why? Because the seller psychology at this point is getting inundated with market bubble collapses, and the housing market is done. And for sure, interest rates have impacted the buyer's ability to afford. So you're seeing a natural level off of prices, probably a small dip in prices over the course of the summer. Hardly likely to be a collapse. Could it be? It absolutely could be, but I don't think so. I think more likely you're going to see hard selling in July and August, easier buying. Come the fall, it'll be, easier selling than right now. So if you have questions, because every area is different, that was just the difference between Kitsap as a whole and Bainbridge. Maybe you're looking at Bremerton, or you want to know something about Sammamish, or that's what I'm here for. I'd love to answer those questions. My name's Aaron Hendon. I'm with Christine and Company over at eXp Realty. Check us out. Like this, subscribe it, share, all that good stuff. Talk to you later. What in the world is happening with Vashon Real Estate? Got to see this. All right. We see supply and demand. We see dead people. We see supply and demand graphs. Green is the supply. Blue is the demand. Let's look at what's happening. Look at May. Go, boy. 22 homes. Look at that. 21 homes came to market in May, right? With only 16 selling. Oh my gosh. That is a really big delta. Not first of all, 21 homes is as many homes as we got 22 in August of last year. Look at it is an enormous number of homes compared to our recent past, the pandemic past. This little bump here was everyone racing to get their house on market right when the lockdown happened. In other words, this is going to be more of a normal seasonal year. If you look at the last 5 years together, you can see what we would be expecting is, here's your 2019 numbers, 2018, 17. Something like that would be predictable, where come June, July, and August, there will be multiple houses on the market. You can already see it on Vashon, where there are multiple listings available on the market for extended periods of time. Now, the really nice ones are still going off the market really quick. It's a much hotter market than King County as a whole. There's just not as much inventory overall, and demand over here is much higher. People really want to live with us. I don't know why. There's a fairy line. But it's a higher demand market. But what I would be expecting over the next couple of months is inventory demands like this. So if you're thinking of selling, you might want to wait till the end of the summer when there's less people selling. Okay. The whole mythos of selling during the summer is a little whacked, because most people sell during the summer. Some instances it's easier, if you have a house that's a walk-in, or it's down by the water and it's hard to get to. For sure, the summer is going to be a little bit easier for you. But in general, as a whole, this is what there is to deal with. Okay, you're looking at more inventory coming to market June, July, and August than any time in the last 2 years, and probably similar to what you see in years 3, 4, and 5 back. Okay. If you have questions about your house, your situation, your circumstances, let me know. That's what I'm here for. Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company. Like this, subscribe, share it, all that good stuff. Let me know what questions you have. What in the world's happening with East Side real estate? Well, I wanted to break it out so it was distinct from just King County as a whole, because it's important to just see what's happening over there in the Redmond, Bellevue area where Amazon's coming in. What's happening? Is it getting harder or easier to buy? Harder or easier to sell? Check this out. This is fascinating to me. What you're seeing here is the supply and demand graph for that area over the last 2 years. Green is the supply, the new listings that come on every month. The blue is the demand. the number that's sold, and look at last month. Look at May. Not only did we far outpace anything in the last 2 years in terms of new inventory to the market, it's the lowest of the last 3 months in terms of demand. Meaning it's it's certainly over the last 2 years not been easier to buy on the east side than it was last month. That's shocking, right? You'd think that wouldn't be the case. I would think that wouldn't be the case, but it is. And if you look at the last 5 years, this is unbelievable. This is the peak of 2019, which was a huge peak of available inventory for our region. So if you just notice what was happening in our region in 2019, if you were around then, this was a real peak. It was really tricky to sell a property at this time because there was so much more inventory than there was demand. And look, this last month matched that. I mean, there was more available housing and less demand than any time in the last 5 years. That bodes really well for buyers on the east side over the rest of the summer. Okay, and if you're selling, it's going to be trickier to sell than it has been any time in the last 5 years. In other words, you're going to need to price it right, market it right. Every neighborhood is different, every area is different, but overall on the east side, what you're seeing here is a radical shift from intense seller's market to a less intense seller's market. I know I said radical shift, but it's going to seem that way because there was a time 2 months ago you could put a shoebox on the side of the road and put any kind of price on it and it would sell. That's not the case. And when I say radical, I mean in the mind of the seller, what's still there is I should be able to get that kind of money. And in reality, you won't. You've got to be careful both in terms of how you price it and what your expectations are. If you're buying, let's go. June, July, and August are going to be primo, easier months for you to buy. Doesn't mean you're not going to get deep discounts after a week, but it does mean you're not going to be competing against 17 other cash offers. If you have questions about your circumstances or anything you want to know about that, let me know. That's what I'm here for. Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company over at EXP. Like this, share it, comment, give me all that good social media love. Talk to you later. Bye.